I'm opinionated about everything, but I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I was about to say, I don't feel the need to share my opinions publicly. Here I am literally talking into
Here
a
we
microphone,
are.
being like, everyone's going to love to hear about, my relationship to erotic literature.
Welcome to Stan, the podcast where we dissect our enthusiastic and at times obsessive relationships with cultural phenomena. I mean, have you ever caught yourself unironically insisting that it's not just a phase? Or stayed up all night to finish that book that you just can't put down? Or have you ever had such a huge crush on a celebrity that it made your heart physically ache? I have. So join me as we figure out why certain things or people capture our attention and affection so well. I'm really happy that you're here. I am constantly amazed by the gap between what men think women find attractive and what the female gaze actually is. Lately, there has been a resurgence of content created for the female gaze, from certain OnlyFans models to spicy storytelling apps like Dipsy, and yes, romantic novels like Rebecca Yarros's Fourth Wing. Some say it's due to book talk, but since 2022, the genre of romantasy has gone up by 52%, and sales are reaching a 10-year high. This resurgence has been a really interesting vehicle through which people are starting to have conversations about what they desire and what they're looking for in relationships. And so many conversations, I think, relate really closely to the reckoning we're going through with the manosphere and the long-term effects of the accessibility of online pornography and how that's influencing sexual or romantic dynamics offline and in the real world. Not at all to equate or even compare the two, but I've been reading articles about how women are reading romance novels and then expressing unfulfillment in their real relationships once they've created parasocial relationships with these characters in the books. Either way, I think these trends are indicative of the loneliness epidemic. Please note, I did not say the male loneliness epidemic. I think we're all very lonely, and also gender dynamics in general. Multiple studies are showing that Gen Z are having a lot less sex than ever, so it's not that surprising that people are seeking outlets elsewhere. I also think it's interesting to think about the effects this is having on young women. Roxane Gay mentions the young adult genre, that teens are interested to kill each other in really violent ways and survive dystopian landscapes, but somehow don't do anything other than kiss each other. To find answers to these kinds of questions, I spoke to Jaylene. Jaylene and I met at a festival, and spoiler, after this episode was filmed, we went to travel around Brazil together. She has the most incredible book recommendations and is so thoughtful and interesting. I loved our chat, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
I'm Jaylene, I'm 25, and I'm from the UK, living in Copenhagen right now, working as a writer, which is quite appropriate for this topic.
Absolutely. And you said you had just come back from the supermarket. Can I ask what supermarket it was?
It was cool. It's called Fotex.
I was hoping you would say that.
I love it there. It's one of the best ones. I think Danish supermarkets generally suck. Like, it's maybe one of the worst places in the world to go to the supermarket. But Fotex is great. Best of
I know.
lunch.
So I don't know if I told you this. I probably did, because I am desperate to make personal connections to anyone I meet in like a really needy and like aggressive way. But I did my study abroad in Copenhagen. And I remember the first night they gave us a little coupon to go grocery shopping with like a group of people and then cook and have dinner together, which like in theory is the sweetest little idea. And in practice was genuinely the most painful experience of my life, insofar as like nobody spoke. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I've just signed up to spend 3 months with these people. And I went to Netto, which was like the original connection. Yeah. So no hate to Netto.
Sorry, loads of hate to Netto. That's
actually, fuck Netto.
I'm being completely honest.
Like, I was already getting a lot of hate for signing up to go to Copenhagen because people were like, why didn't you do something more exciting? Which is rude. Like,
that's actually so fair, so fair. I'm sorry. Okay, I love this city. It's beautiful. Everything is great. Everything works. But it's like not exciting, you know? Like, it's just nice. That's all it is.
I almost dropped out of going to Copenhagen because I thought that. I went to university in the US, and my mum was trying to convince me to study abroad in the UK, which is obviously my hometown. So we
Yeah.
kind of settled on Copenhagen.
Yeah.
And then that August, like before I was supposed to move there, I moved there in January. Also a rookie error because it's horrible weather.
January is genuinely the worst month here.
I was with a partner that I was completely infatuated with. And my mum and my dad took me to Copenhagen because they were like, oh, you got into the program. It's close to the UK. Let's spend like a week in there. Super sweet of them. And it was August and it was raining. And it was like not an exciting place to go. First of all, living in a city is very different to visiting. And
True.
second of all, like going with your parents is very different to studying there and being with, people your own age. So after that weekend, I was like, I'm never moving to Copenhagen. I told my mum I'm going to drop out. And basically, my mum has this whole complex because she moved to England to be with my dad, and she makes fun of herself for doing that. She thought it was because of my partner, and she was like, I swear to God, if you don't take this opportunity because you want to stay with your boyfriend, I will be so disappointed in you, which wasn't even where I was going with that. And then he broke up with me like 2 weeks later.
Oh my goodness. Hey, girl, you and me too. You and me both. Gosh. So when I came to visit you, right, I was obviously like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this guy. I came back to Copenhagen. He'd been in Bolivia on like a study trip. We celebrated my birthday. And then I kid you not, the Monday after that, he's like, oh, we need to talk. I'm moving to Brazil. So we need to break up.
Stop. Do you know what? If I were to be broken up in any way, if someone was like, I'm moving to Brazil, I'd be like, respect. I'd be like, that's fair. I can't offer you more than Brazil.
I was like, you know what? You go spread your wings, my guy. Go do that.
Exactly. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. He's actually not moving until Thursday, and that was in March. So apparently, because he wanted me to have like a hot girl summer, which respect him for. Fair enough.
Do you know what? That is so Danish. I love that. That's because I feel like there's such a respect for and level of comfort with like sexuality that is so not present in the UK. Are you still friends with him?
Yeah, we're still friends. I saw him for the last time Saturday, which was nice. But now he's moving to Brazil. But I might go see him in Brazil. Feel a bit messy, you know?
I love that. I like, as a good advice giver, I'm like, do not do that. But as a very messy person myself, I'm like, go off. Like,
hey, first thing I did after this breakup was I went to Croatia with my other ex-boyfriend. Like, why not?
I can relate to that so aggressively. Yeah. Recently went back to Egypt, and the only people I hung out with are the last people who are like left in Egypt. Not as in like in all of Egypt, but you know what I mean? My small group. The people that I like hung out with are just like people I used to date. Yeah. I had like a few like, post-mortem relationship.
I'm using that one, post-mortem relationship. That's good.
I think it's from The Office. I can't claim it for myself. I got picked up from the airport by an ex, and I was like, this is going to be super messy. And it was. I encourage you as like a bad influence to do it and tell me how it goes.
I will. I absolutely will. Let's see.
Sorry. Let's get on to the topic at hand. You are a sister of a friend of mine, and he mentioned at a drinks recently, we were talking about the rise of erotica, and he mentioned that his sister, aka you, was a huge Wattpad reader, and I knew I had to speak to you. How did you encounter Wattpad? Like, tell me about the beginnings of your relationship with this app.
I've always been a really big reader, and both my brother and I were like massively encouraged by our parents to read. And I think Dad used to take us to the library every Saturday, and we'd pick 2 books to read in the week, and we'd have to finish them. Otherwise, we couldn't go back to the library, and we really liked going to the library. So I really rate my dad for that. And then on Sundays, we'd go swimming. Every weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was great. Okay, yeah. So we read a lot, and then when I was getting kind of older, but still not quite old enough, I would read a lot of teen fiction because I was finding like kids' books weren't really like doing it for me. I'd read so many. I feel like I'd read all of the ones I wanted to read, and I was also a very like romantic kid, so I always wanted to read love stories. I wasn't super into like action fantasy kind of things.
Right.
occasionally dystopia. Then I discovered Tumblr. And then I was like, this is a cool little app. And I found that out through like, I don't know, friends from school or something like that. And I would see all of these quotes from things. And I was like, what is that book? Or like, where is that from? And then it would always have a link to this thing called Wattpad. And I was like, what is that? So I kind of found Wattpad through Tumblr. That's how I ended up exploring it.
I love that. I was never a Tumblr girly. I kind of don't think I was quite cool enough. I didn't have the aesthetic. Did you post a lot on Tumblr?
I didn't really post. I just love to consume what other people posted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting inspiration.
Yeah.
Did it affect like what you wore, how you spoke?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
tell me
What I
more.
wore especially, I think. There's this one like fascinating outfit that I actually came across the other month. It was like a pair of high-waisted, like dark denim shorts and an MTV white. Remember the MTV tops? It was one of those, and then like this oversized plaid shirt. I'm pretty sure it was my dad's, and like knee-high, or no, just above the knee socks. And
Classic.
yeah,
I did that too.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you found it through Wattpad, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And what kinds of stories were you drawn to?
I think it took me a while to kind of figure it out, because at first I was just like, oh my goodness, the whole world of like books is on this platform. That's amazing. Like, what do I want to read? I didn't particularly get so much into like Twilight, Hunger Games, that kind of thing until kind of a little bit after I started using Wattpad, actually. So I ended up kind of looking for the kind of like teen romance, fantasy things I would read from the teen fiction section in the library, but written by, you know, like amateur writers on Wattpad. And it kind of spiraled from that, because then I was also like, oh wait, I love Harry Styles. I could read about Harry Styles. Because, okay, I would read these like teen romance books, and then they would be like a main male protagonist guy. And I mean, it was just a dude like from her school. And I don't know, I felt like I couldn't picture them. And then I kind of was like, okay, why don't I try the same kind of thing, but including someone I already like fancy and know exists and like can project all of this onto. And then it's kind of like having, I don't know, it's easier to have a crush on the book while reading the book than when it's like an anonymous.
It makes it like more engaging.
Exactly. It's very like visual for me. Like, one thing that I think, because Wattpad is full of amateur writers, which is fine, obviously, but they're not amazing at describing like the features of characters. So it was very hard to imagine them.
The description is mostly like explicit scenes or the interactions between the characters.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Or like, it's like very minimal, like, oh, he had brown hair and green eyes, but it's like, I need something there.
Totally. You're imagining yourself in the first person shoes, basically.
Yes. When I was in this whole era, I was very interested in the idea of romantic relationships, but the idea of like trying to be in one myself, horrifying. Imagining being in one, sure. I think the boys I was around, I just like, they were just gross and annoying, and yeah.
I don't know what boys you went to school with, but the boys at school are not Harry Styles.
No, exactly. Exactly. And I also think I had this whole idea, and I think I've always had it, that I feel like a lot more mature than other people my age, and boys kind of encompassed immaturity that I didn't want. So I would like project my maturity into these characters. And generally they like any fiction I read, like I said, I would read teen fiction from like 10. Everyone was always older than me. The books, the content I was consuming was like full of characters who were a little bit older than me, like 2-3 years, something like that.
Because it's important to you to be able to like relate to a character.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially when you're young and you're like forming an identity and you're trying to figure out. So like what I used to do with the books that I was reading, this is kind of embarrassing.
That's good.
I used to find characters that I liked and I wanted to be like, and then I would read out their lines of dialogue in the book, like out loud. But I'm really, I can see your face. But I don't do that anymore, by the way. I definitely was someone who was like really, really, really searching for an identity as a kid, and therefore like wanted to see myself in the shoes of the protagonist. But what
Yeah.
kind of characters then were you drawn to?
So this was actually something that I really was reflecting on before we spoke, because I would like to say, like, and I feel like the correct answer is I liked really powerful women who like stood up for themselves, and that is absolutely not what I was into. And I was
Tell me more. No. I'm like intrigued. Tell me more.
I don't know what it was. I was very like, I think a lot of what I was reading, the female protagonist was very like lost or unsure of herself and like insecure in a way. And then the male that she was, you know, romantically interested in was very like dominant and like protective. And I found that was what I would read the most of, and that was what I would enjoy reading the most. And I don't think it's necessarily reflective of who I was or who I am. And maybe that's why, like, it adds to the fantasy aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just further removed from your own experiences and
Exactly. Or like a different way of perceiving myself.
like part of the experiment. One thing I did think about, and I can't remember where I read this, and I'm such a classic, like, oh, I can't remember the article that I read this in, and then it turns out it was like
It was
a
definitely a
TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I feel like this is something that I was not like struggling with from a young age, but like something I definitely noticed from a young age is a lot of female protagonists just have absolutely no personality. Like it's either the one side, like a, you know, like a Katniss Everdeen. You mentioned Twilight and Hunger Games, like a Katniss Everdeen who's like unspeakably brave and courageous. We all used to play a game in high school, like, oh, who do you think would win? And I'm like, I would be out in seconds. Like, I do not have that capacity. It's either like that hyper independence, or it's Twilight, like Bella Swan, and she's the definition of like, yes, girl, give us nothing. Like,
there's nothing to her.
Because of that, she's so easy to project your own personality into that character. And I found that with most literature, like with female protagonists, especially in like romance novels, like you're really doing nothing.
I think that's true. And like, maybe that is that why a lot of authors write for a female audience like that, so that we can project, or is it because like that's the way we should be viewed? I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I hope not. Like one extreme or the other. I think obviously people are very complex individuals, but I also think maybe this is like really cynical of me, but I think if you're writing like YA novels, you are doing it like not for the literary prestige, but rather for profit, and therefore you would want to have the widest appeal possible.
That's a good point.
Did you ever dabble in writing and uploading things yourself?
Yes. So I never uploaded anything, but I tried writing. And I remember it really distinctly because I'd like run out of things I wanted to read. But then I had this idea and I was like, I wish this existed. And then I was like, oh, I could just make it exist.
Wow.
And so like I remember I got the app on, I think it was like my mom's iPad or something.
That is risky.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It was like, I think I made a whole new account, so there was like nothing saved in the library on the iPad. I remember I sat down a few times to try and write this, and I started, and I just like couldn't bring myself to do it. I would write like 1 or 2 paragraphs and then just leave it for weeks. And then I think I concluded, and I know this now, obviously, that I love reading fiction. It's frankly most of what I read even now. But I can't stand writing it. I'm so much better at nonfiction. It's not even about being good at it. I think I could write good fiction. I just like, I get so much writer's block. I find it very hard to be creative and imaginative with it. I like having ideas put into my brain rather than putting ideas into other people's brain. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. So did you really enjoy writing essays in uni?
That's what I loved. Like I loved like English lit. I loved the whole uni experience was really great because I just got to write essays every week. I just love the process of like, when I write, I want the things I'm writing to, I mean, there's nothing obviously wrong with fiction because I'm obsessed with it still. But when I write, I need to take it from the real world, and it needs to remain real, if that makes sense.
Do you think, first of all, I love that Wattpad gave you the confidence and the platform to experiment with writing, even if it's not something that you end up doing in the long term. It's so good that it empowered you, and who knows what it spawned. And I think that's really lovely. I find fiction really difficult to write. I also loved university because I like arguing. I'm generally very opinionated, and I find writing, I'm a lot more eloquent than I am talking. So I just found it really cathartic. Speaking of cathartic, and I don't know whether you've dabbled in this, but I have written so many personal essays to help me get through certain situations, and it is the most amazing tool.
It's so good. It's so good. And I feel exactly the same. I've journaled like for, I don't know, 7 years or something.
Wow.
I have all
every
these
day.
Journals. Not every day. There was a period of time it was every day, or like if I'm going through something, it's every day. But I usually try and do it once or twice a week-ish. I don't put so much pressure on myself. I have this rolling document on my laptop. It's called The Angry Black Woman, which is funny.
Love that. Are you going to publish? I'd read it. You haven't even told me the content, and I'm like, yes.
If I ever like publish a book, it's probably just going to be that. But yeah.
Go off. You should do it. Wait, what is it?
So basically, it's just like, it's a bunch of, me working through some stuff, but then also sort of reactions to, I don't know, different social issues, social justice, environmental justice, that kind of thing. And then also me reacting to pieces I've read, like articles, books, etc. Just like anything I feel like I have an opinion on, and it's an opinion that I should maybe remember and keep, I will write it in there. So recently I've been writing about, what's something recent? So I live in Scandinavia as a Black woman, and it's a very interesting experience because it's very different to be Black and Scandinavian and like Black and immigrant. It's kind of very interesting how people, like the weird ways in which I'm perceived until I like sit down and talk to people. That makes sense. Like the assumptions that are made about me. And also this is something that I encounter frequently at work. Like people will see me enter a room, like a meeting of people I've never met before. And I can see in their face, they're like, oh, like what's going on here? And then I open my mouth and this Oxford British accent comes out and they're like, oh, she's fine. Yeah.
Oh God. I'm so sorry.
It's like a shift in like perception. It's very weird. So that is what I was writing about.
I mean, I obviously do not have the same exact experience, but the one thing I can relate to from that is the accent thing. Like the privilege that you get, it is insane.
Like people just automatically think you know what you're doing. It's so bizarre.
I know. I was in a project review today. The guy who was giving me the review was like, you've got good communication style. But he was like, honestly, I don't know whether that's just because you're a native speaker. And I was like, oh, that humbled me real quick.
Right back.
And I did my master's in France, and everybody there is from different places in Europe. And we would often do group projects, and like it's graduate school, like it's fucking hard. And people would be like, oh, Allegra should be the one who presents because she's the only native speaker, and my entire heart would like drop because I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I think this is hard. Like if someone made me do a master's in French, I think I would just absolutely spontaneously combust. So
exactly.
There's a lot of, obviously it's extremely different because I don't have the added layer of race and all of that, especially in Scandinavia. That must be really difficult. So
it's an interesting way to move through the world, I think.
Yeah. So how long is the document now?
I've had it rolling since like 2020. So I'm pretty sure it's like 200 pages or something at this point.
And like, was it a COVID thing?
Oh, I journaled through all of COVID, but I was finding I had so much to say and my hand was starting to hurt. So I was like, oh, let me just type it. And then it was COVID. And then like everything with George Floyd happened. And then just the world just generally went to shit. So there was a lot to write about, let's say.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I would love to read that. And in terms of that, so we're talking about how it empowers someone to write. I'm
Yes.
not super familiar on the regulations of Wattpad and like what you can and cannot publish.
Yeah.
Obviously, it makes amateur writers much more accessible. A good thing for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any danger in having a platform like that?
Yeah, I think so, because I somewhat had my head screwed on in that I was like, isn't real. You're not going to go out and do this, Jaylene. But some people don't necessarily have that, or they have a lot of trauma that it kind of feeds into, and maybe might encourage them to be okay with some of the weird stuff that's been written. But like in terms of problematic content, I think there's quite a lot of it on Wattpad. I think there's a lot of glamorization of like, it's the same with Tumblr, I suppose, eating disorders. And secondly, domestic abuse. But actually, let's lean more into the domestic abuse thing, because I think maybe I encountered this more because, like I said, I used to really like the stories sort of where it was like a very like timid woman and then a very dominant man, right? But I think there were sometimes stories that I had to put down because like, this is going too far. The guy, let's say, was being described as being super protective, but to the point where, let's say, the female character spoke to a cashier at the grocery store who happened to be male, he'd like flip his shit, that kind of thing, right? Yeah, so I think it can really put a spin on toxic and violent relationships and romanticize them in a way
Yeah, absolutely.
that isn't like a good thing for super young women and men to read about.
Yeah, I was about to say it's quite interesting that I'm very taken aback by the idea that a teen would be able to self-censor or like take themselves away from what they consider to be harmful material, because it is so widespread. But I would counter as well that like maybe it's more frequent on places like Wattpad, but like a lot of the relationships that I romanticized as a child and like were in the mainstream were extremely abusive.
Yeah.
If you think about, to draw on another like super common example, Edward Cullen and Bella Swan in Twilight.
Yeah.
It's extremely controlling, manipulative,
like isolating,
and like I ate that shit up when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like I was like so ready to find, someone that was gonna boss me around. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what I wanted.
It's really bizarre, but I think it just stems from this whole like idea that I think has existed for a long time, that men are there to like save you from the world basically and shield you from it, and it really plays into that, and I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. And this is also, this is what I mean by like, I've been really trying to sit with myself and think, why was I so much more drawn to these stories?
Well, I mean, I get fed a lot of content from people who are extremely into like erotic novels, because I think it's just having like a moment culturally, and also my algorithm is sending it to me for, I'm sure, a reason. Although I'm not a huge consumer of erotica. I just started A Court of Rose and Thorns by Sarah J. Maas.
Okay, I haven't read that, but I really kind of want to, but I'm not sure. That's the thing. Because I feel like I actually haven't read I think a lot of teenage boys, for example, when they are teenagers, watch a lot of pornography on the internet, right? I mean, people have done studies about it and how you get more and more desensitized. Like if you watch the same video 5, 6, 7 times, it doesn't do the same thing anymore, right? I feel like I've gotten that way with this kind of content. Like I'm not so interested in it anymore because I feel like I've done it, and I don't know, maybe that's also another kind of thing to be careful with in terms of Wattpad, in that like it can, when you start really, really young, it firstly warps your view of what sex is, and it can desensitize you to this kind of content. Like my friend has a copy and she was like, do you want to borrow it? And I was like, I don't know. No, I think I'm going to read, what have I been reading lately? East of Eden, John Steinbeck. I don't know.
I have that on my shelf. I hated it. I don't know. We'll talk about this
another. It's okay. It's very long.
It's so long.
But I think this has also happened since I've actually started having sex, i.e. like the interest kind of fell off. I think I started having sex when I was like in my way late teens. And from then on, I was like, now I have the real thing. I don't need to project anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's less like your tastes have gotten more and more specific. You don't feel like it's changed what you desire. It's just like you're losing interest in it.
Yeah, I think like it did sort of shape what I desire in the sense of like I still kind of like the dynamic that I said I enjoyed reading. But yeah, so in that sense, it's definitely influenced it. But I feel like it was filling a gap. Like I was curious, and now the curiosity is like sated. Like if I'm thinking about sex, I could just go and have sex, you know?
Yeah, you were more inclined to read it when it was a medium through which to like explore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's also the same even with just general like romance novels, because I didn't have a boyfriend until I was 17, I think. And like I tend to read less romance when I am in a relationship because I'm like, oh, I've got that covered already.
So it's like ticking a box. It's like
Yeah.
the hierarchy of human need.
Yeah,
And one of those things
exactly.
is like, I need romance in my life.
Yeah.
And hopefully you've been lucky enough to like experience it in your real relationships. Well, what I was saying is when yesterday I was reading up on this stuff, the Cut has a really interesting article about why it's successful, but also why it can be very harmful. And a lot of women have expressed that they're disappointed in men's ability to meet the expectations that are set out in books. But the thing about romance novels, for me specifically, I feel like the desires or the expectations are set about someone being like considerate and like fun and witty, and it's not about like your sexual performance.
Yeah.
Did you see the like Bumble controversy recently about like their ad campaign and the celibacy? Did that come up on your feed?
Wait, what did the ad say again?
It's like celibacy isn't the answer.
Oh,
Essentially,
okay.
like the ad campaign was centered around you should be on this dating app because
You need to
shielding
get
yourself
laid?
from dating is not the answer, and like not having
Okay.
sex is not the answer. And there's a whole thing again on the Cut about women becoming intentionally celibate as like a way of taking back their power. And it makes me sad because I'm like, the alternative is women lowering their expectations about like
That's true.
how much control they have over their body,
Yeah.
the kind of partners that they hope for, like, and it's never the man should in heterosexual relationships. I can't speak to any same-sex interactions, but the expectation is, okay, so women should lower their standards, men shouldn't meet the standards that women are setting. And I'm finding that a bit jarring.
Shouldn't be the case at all. And like I completely get this whole hypothesis or fact, frankly, that romantic novels allow women to see like what their ideal man or like the ideal qualities they would want in someone could look like. So I think they are really, really good for that. And I think actually they did help me in that sense, i.e. I think everyone I've ever dated seriously.
Very caveat.
You're very important, very important. I'm on very, very good terms with, and I wouldn't ever have dated them if they didn't meet like the set of criteria that I've like decided I want, for example.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why I remain really good friends with all four of them. Because I'm like, well, I like you as a person. There's a reason we dated. It just didn't work out for whichever reason.
I can't relate. For me, it's not necessarily like the loss of affection. First of all, I find it unsustainable because I have the same expectations of friendship as, you know, as we're met before, and that's just like not possible. And that kind of intimacy is not possible to maintain, especially when, you know, you both start dating other people. It's not appropriate. But
that's true.
For me, I think I've been in a lot of situations where like I've lost, and I get it, it's difficult, but like I've lost respect for someone because of the way they've acted, you know, during or after a breakup. And that's why I think it's best to keep distance. But I'm very jealous because I miss everyone I've dated. Like
of course.
you know, love and respect them. And I wish we were, you know, friends and I could talk to them, but like too much has happened. So
yeah,
I'm very jealous of you saying
that. I don't know. Sometimes it takes a while. Like it's never immediate, obviously, but yeah, eventually, hopefully, usually I get there.
They all come back as well, which
They'll
is what
come
I
back,
find. Like
to be
every
fair.
single time.
They always come back.
They always come
Always.
back. I like it's taken up to 2 years, but like I'm never surprised when I get that text being like, "Hey, how have you been?"
How have you been? I saw you got a new job. How's
Yeah.
Copenhagen?
Not speaking from recent personal experience or anything.
I don't know. Yeah.
Have you been the one to reach out ever?
Have I ever been the one to reach out? No. No, because I always know they will.
You mentioned reading romance novels allowed you to set the standard.
Yeah.
Why else do you think these novels are so successful?
That's a good question. I think it's really easy to relate to because there's such like a wide range of stories. But secondly, I think specifically actually with things like fan fiction and like fantasy, it takes like something like an already existing piece of like literature or media. You know, sometimes something ends and it ends in a way you think, oh, it'd be better if it was this way. It kind of extends that and you're able to find the ending that you want. That's another really big part of why it's so popular, especially with huge things like, I don't know, Twilight, Hunger Games, etc. And like side characters as well, developing their stories. That's a big thing too.
It's so funny when I started looking into this, the person, his name is Henry Jenkins, who is considered like the founding father of fan culture studies, wrote this book called Textual Poachers. And it talks so much about how popular fan fiction is, but it used to be called zines. You know, it's an older book, not older, it's in like the 90s. So like, okay, calm down. But the references are a little bit outdated. A lot of content about Captain Kirk and Spock. It's a whole genre of literature called slash. And that's one of the reasons why I became so interested to talk to you, because this isn't necessarily a side of fandom that I've engaged in, but it's obviously so popular.
It's a huge thing, yeah.
And one of the things that he said as well was like, with something that is popular, fans try, first of all, to prolong their relationship with it by doing the offshoots, by developing character stories that aren't in the center of the action. But because they have such deep emotional connections to the stories and to the characters, and they have no control over it, people try and assert their own control by creating different endings. It's like representative of a long-standing tension between producers and fans, like who necessarily has the authority to change the storylines. It's like really interesting that that's a psychological need and also something that you would address immediately. Like, you hit the nail on the head.
That's like, it was one of the first things I thought about when I was thinking about these questions. I used to read a little bit of fan fiction. I wasn't like hugely, massively into it, but loved One Direction and things like Twilight. I would read fan fiction based on that. It was just because I remember I got into Twilight quite late. Like it wasn't when it was like happening really. So I just watched them all back to back to back. And then it ended and I was very like deflated. I was like, well, now what? And then I was like, hang on a minute. Someone's definitely written something like a spin-off of this.
I believe also the lore is that 50 Shades of Grey was originally developed as fan fiction for Twilight.
That's why I read it. That is the reason I read it. Like I had a 50 Shades of Grey. I think I was on Tumblr one day and then someone had written that. It was originally written as fan fiction. And I was like, immediately. I remember I didn't want to get the physical book and I had a Kindle, but it was like connected to my mom's Amazon account. So she'd see everything I bought. So I had to find a copy that was not quite legal on the internet and read it that way. But I remember it was a mission. I was like, I have to read this.
Because of the connection to Twilight?
Exactly.
That's so interesting. 50 Shades of Grey for me like is the transition of like erotic literature into the mainstream. It has that really distinctive cover. And I remember the summer that it came out, my family's Italian. And as a family, we go to the beach in Italy every year, or we used to when we were growing up. I walked down the beach and I shit you not, like every other woman had the same distinctive cover. And that's why I picked it up, I think, for the first time, because I've never had an original thought in my life. So like, I'm so easily influenced. But second of all, I'm obviously extremely into culture. And I was like, I have to know what the draw is, what people are talking about. So as we're talking about the integration of like erotica into the mainstream, how do you feel? Is it satisfying to see other people enjoying it? Do you feel like a little bit defensive or protective over the genre? Like, what it
No, I think it's a good thing. I don't feel particularly defensive about it. I think it's positive mostly because it's decreasing stigma and shame. It's letting women go wild in their fantasies, and like people are reading what they want to read. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
There's like an app with headphones. I think someone reads erotic stories to you and you could just like pick a voice. I've seen it on TikTok, and like the headphones are very, very distinct. They're not just headphones you can like plug into your phone and listen to Rihanna with. They're specifically for this purpose. People just go out in the wild with them, which is amazing.
Wait, hold the front door. People are, I thought you meant the app, like the icon, the logo of the app was headphones. No. People are buying specific headphones.
Yeah, just for this.
And you can only listen to that.
Or like they only work with the app or something like that.
Wow. And that's in Copenhagen. You've seen people out in the wild, or like in London?
No, that I've seen it mostly on TikTok. I've seen a lot of like American TikTokers with it. There's this one girl specifically, Gabby something. She always has them on. She's just doing her little matcha run. She's got them on. I'm like, girl, good
Stop
for you.
it. Stop it. I have so much respect for that. I'm not sure I could do that, especially since I live in a like very sexually conservative place.
And also, don't a lot of like that sleep app, was it Calm? They get a lot of like hot celebrities to narrate. Like Harry Styles did one. This is why I know that.
He obviously appeared a lot in Wattpad and erotic literature.
Yes.
Can you just like talk us through that?
Yeah, so I think the things with Harry Styles, and actually I think he was just the most like popular, I suppose, member of One Direction. And a classic like fanfic trope, I suppose, is like you go to a gig, they see you in the crowd of like 100,000 people, like that's possible. As a 14-year-old. Yeah, so I think he was kind of like the ideal object of fantasy for a lot of women because he was so prevalent, right? It's like the world's boyfriend. You know, that's what Harry Styles is, or was, not so much anymore. The world's boyfriend.
Wait, what do you mean not so much anymore?
I feel like I grew out of Harry Styles a little bit. He's still hot, but I think also with Harry Styles, I remember it was a very big thing within fandoms and in fan fiction spaces. His relationship with Louis Tomlinson, everyone would kind of fantasize about them as like a homosexual couple. I think like they, both of the real people, were really kind of like upset about it. But I suppose Harry Styles is also a really good example in that one really popular fan fiction called After, which I read of his, about him. He didn't write it. Someone else wrote it, obviously. So it was written as a fan fiction about Harry Styles, and it got super popular. Then it became like an actual book, like it was published like physically. And then they got a movie deal. Honestly, in my opinion, terrible movies. A lot of years for it to come out because there was so much pushback from like him and his team. The author of the book, I think like he has like a restraining order or I don't know. Don't quote me on any of this, but there was a lot of beef surrounding Harry Styles and the author and
allegedly.
Because yeah, I mean, like she said that it wasn't necessarily about him. I didn't use his name or anything like that.
Right.
But at the same time, it so clearly was, because everyone who was reading and eating that up was like, oh, this is about the love of my life, Harry Styles, right? So yeah, I think that's a really interesting take on it. Like the tension between like the producers and like, the fans, right? There's something about it that is a little more like sinister when you're using real people in the stories.
Yeah. If someone was writing fiction about our relationship and also being very explicit, I would be extremely distressed. But because Harry Styles is Harry Styles, it's really easy to dismiss his discomfort. Like there is a sense of like ownership, public ownership over an individual. Like once we have given you fandom, your power, the resources,
like fame,
then you owe us. Like you don't belong to yourself anymore. You belong to all of us, which I think is extremely scary. But also, so I haven't read After, nor have I watched the movie, but now I'm like kind of intrigued. I've definitely been targeted on Netflix and my Instagram reels just think I want to read erotica all day. But like I've seen the clips and that's why I didn't watch it, because it looks like a very formulaic romance that I wasn't drawn to. I had no idea that it was about Harry Styles, but he's got a team of people around him that their entire job is creating distance between him and these characters. And it worked.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that's how it started. And it's so interesting to me because After did also just become popular as a thing in itself. And actually one of my roommates watched it and she's really into that whole like genre of movie. But I was telling her, yeah, did you know that's about Harry Styles? She was like, no way.
Yeah. Two more quick questions, then I will let you go because I can also hear an alarm going off in my building, but that's neither here nor there. Were there any more solid ways that you engaged with the readership of Wattpad? Did you talk about it with your friends, or was it much more of like an individual relationship?
So I think for me, it was very individual. I think also just because of this sense of shame that I don't think I should have had. And I wish I didn't. And then in terms of like the communities, I spent a lot of time on TikTok and things like that. But I'm never the one writing comments and anything, but I'm very happy reading and liking them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is writing these comments actually?
Dude, I think about this so much. Like to unfollow all influencers, models, things like that. So like I follow like news outlets and like people I know personally. That's for my own sake and sanity. Yeah. But I do indulge in the scroll of like my explore page. And first of all, like how much engagement there is, but second of all, how all of it is negative. And I'm like, why are you so pressed?
I'm like, go touch some grass, guys. Like, come on. It is not that deep.
Yeah. The fact that people are so incensed by things that have literally nothing to do with them.
Especially like on forums like, I don't know, TikTok and Instagram, because you get these like really like back and forth like arguments between people in comments. And I'm like, you are just sat angry on your phone.
I'm always shocked. The fact that all decorum and like respectful conversation just flies out the window as soon as you're behind
a screen
is really scary to me.
I'm not a huge like engager in things. Yeah, like if I find it interesting, I'll repost it and like I will post my own content and everything like that. But it's not a thought I ever have like, oh, I should say this.
No, I agree. I'm opinionated about everything, but I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I was about to say, I don't feel the need to share my opinions publicly. Here I am literally talking into
Here we are.
Being like, everyone's going to love to hear about, my relationship to erotic literature. Okay, one last question. Who is your current celebrity crush?
Oh, does he count as a celebrity? Jack Schlossenberg, whatever. The JFK's grandson.
Like the political commentator.
If you're listening to this, Jack, I'm single. My boyfriend got me to move to Brazil, so let's go.
Thanks so much for joining us. Please give us a good rating if you're able, and if you hated it, then you literally don't have to listen ever again. With special thanks to my interviewee and everyone else who made this possible, including the friends that gave me the deluded confidence and equipment to record these episodes. Everything stated in these episodes are solely opinions and should not at all be taken as fact. Bye!